Hopefully you can hear me okay. I promise the dogs will be quieter in this video because they're napping right now. Whereas earlier today, when I finally sat down after working outside, they were like, "It's playtime!" So this should be a more chill sounding reading in the background. I'm just hoping my air conditioner, it hit like 90 degrees today, so I pulled out the window unit, you know what I mean, to just kind of at least cool down one part of the house so it's tolerable and the dogs are enjoying it as well. Because they don't get shaved. They're not dogs that get the fancy hairdos, you know what I mean? Split on the World card and the Fool, so maybe that means something to somebody. Both are major arcana, literally the beginning and the ending of the major arcana, except for Judgment, I guess, technically, which is after. The World card, anyway. The Well. You could be saying, oh, well, you could have dug deep to see what you're made of. And I don't know what it is. I watch some readings on YouTube, but there are so many readings that talk about people impersonating others online, which I believe it. You know what I mean? I've seen the fake profiles or the, alleged fan profiles, right? Where but they're still like using... It's like, okay, that looks like it's trying to be the original. You know what I mean? Where it's like not really a fan profile. Anyway, let's see here. The 8 of Pentacles, and with it being the internet, there's like a new app every day. Like it's nearly impossible to keep up with. You know what I mean? So you can only do so much preventative maintenance, I feel like, where at a certain point, people have to stop and use their own brain, and especially if it's just like your social media, and be like, is that really them? You know what I mean? Or is that somebody just posting a picture and tagging them like it is them? Like they're hanging out or something. The Sun card. Big Leo energy. 8 of Pentacles was the first card that came out on the reading earlier this afternoon. So that could be very significant for somebody, especially if you are a Leo coming up. 4 of Swords. You might be getting called to take a vacation. All right. Maybe you're a teacher, an educator, and you have, the summer semester off. Okay. So during this season, this 8 of Pentacles season, what are you going to be working on? Okay. It feels like something is, I wouldn't say nearing completion, but it's like the idea is already formed. You know what I mean? It's just a matter of executing it. And literally in my left hand, I have the Lovers. So, and that's Gemini, which is, are we not into Gemini already? 6 of Cups on the bottom of the deck again. Yeah. So let me get some other decks over here since that went fairly quickly. I'm not going to sit here and expand on the Lovers and the 6 of Cups very much. If you watch any amount of tarot, you know what that kind of infers. And especially with the Lovers being in the outcome, Gemini, if this is for you, if you are or not in a relationship, this might be one of those things where you just get to know yourself more on an intimate level where, maybe you didn't have the time to do that before. Maybe you were taking care of family, or maybe you were working, or maybe, you know what I mean? Like, again, with this teacher energy. All right. So especially if you are an educator of some sort, it's like now's the time for you. Okay. And maybe you want to spend that with your partner. Maybe you want to spend that doing the things that you love. So this Six of Cups could be in reunion, not only with a partner, but also friends and family, and especially doing the things that you like to do. Okay, so. Okay, Elephant. So, especially with the Sun card and the Lovers, this might be one of those situations where you get around this person and then it's like the elephant in the room. Nobody wants to say anything. But like you're both thinking it type deal. I don't know. Let's see what else comes out. The Owl with the Eight of Pentacles. Okay. So one good thing about you, collective, is that you have chosen to dig into your work. Not to be an alcoholic, but not to be a workaholic, but there's all sorts of holics, right? So some people, oh, well, you're a workaholic. Well, are you a workaholic, or are you just focusing on what you want to focus on? And other people thought for some reason you shouldn't, but you had the wisdom of the owl to keep going on what you needed to work on and not worry about what everybody else thought you needed to be working on. Okay, so you could have, especially with the Eight of Pentacles here, you could have been building a business. You could have been building a brand. You know what I mean? So you're not necessarily a commercial business, but maybe you're an artist that maybe, hope to someday, right? So Sun card here, ooh, the Wolf, interesting. So even though, collective, you might have a big personality, you might have some of the wolf energy here where it's showing a singular wolf, okay? Not a wolf in a pack. So although you can get along with others, again, that's fire sign energy. Leo, life of the party, right? But does Leo have to be in a relationship? Not necessarily. Right? So definitely somebody who can take care of themselves, right? And maybe you've just been working on what you need to be working on. Dragonfly here. So it looks like this is for air signs, which that matches up with the Four of Swords, and the owl is also air, which makes sense because they fly, right? Just as the dragonfly does. Seeing dragonflies also may remind you of some ancestors, okay? And this might occur more when you are at rest, or maybe you have a dream about this said person, which I know for some people that kind of can freak them out, but think of like, if you're ever worried about that, just think of like, it wasn't Casper the Friendly Ghost, like, we're chill here, we're chill, yeah. So, and again, the air sign of the Lovers, Gemini, the black egg, ooh. So there could be something special between you two, obviously. This black egg almost reminds me of like the way it is on here. I'll show it to you. I can show you guys this here. It kind of reminds me of like the Fabergé egg, right? Or like a chocolate egg or something. So aside from the obvious egg and being fertile, okay, maybe you could be raising animals, but this to me seems more like a luxurious type of gift, the way it's presented here, okay? Also, it could be, oh my gosh, look what's on the bottom, the golden egg. Could be representative of like, like a candy, or, you know what I mean? Or some like expensive roses, or just something of that kind of nature, right? So what was it? Isn't there like some fairy tale about searching for the goose that laid the golden egg, right? But if you've ever been around the process, or of chickens, right? Televised or otherwise, right? You'll know the eggs come in different colors, right? And like if you're overseas, you're not going to find eggs in the refrigerator aisle. But that doesn't mean they're not, that's like just how they do it. So, and there's all sorts of stuff you can read up on online. Even on Wikipedia, they probably have some good articles about egg harvesting. Okay. But again, there's also the different kind of like shells, egg shells that people will carve into and stuff. So that could be significant here, like an art piece. So the two of you coming together could be some kind of work of art, okay, as well, in a way. All right. So again, this golden egg here with the 6 of Cups. So it, when you get the golden egg, it's like, oh, yay. It's just something extra special. Maybe that doesn't happen every day, but when it does, you really want to celebrate it. Okay. That is making sense. Okay. Whew. Man, I got some sun today. I was even wearing a hat. You know what I mean? It was like kind of crazy. But just how it goes sometimes, right? All right. Sorry, I'm moving some of these cards around. I wish... anyway, I wish that... Anyway, it's a fairly nice little organizer here that is I've been storing my cards in, but it doesn't hold all of them, so I have to move things around quite a bit. I'm going to use one of these kind of wellness oracle decks. Okay, so this is not really tarot related at all. Although, I might tie it back into the rest of the reading from previous. But if not, you can not worry so much, right? Interesting. I'll have to look that. I don't know where my little guidebook for that one is at. This little, with the owl, wolf, dragonfly. Yeah, so here was the owl. Here was the wolf. Okay. And then the dragonfly. Okay. Which that would be a cool thing to look up. How many species, specific species or variations of dragonfly there are. All right. I like the messages on this deck, but they're just a little bit hard to read. So, you know what I mean? I no longer carry the weight of striving. I choose the path of grace. Ease is not weakness. It is embodied wisdom. Yeah, some folks mistake, handling things with grace in terms of like, oh, that person doesn't have any problems, blah, blah, blah. Well, everybody has stuff they're going through. So, yeah. The weight of striving. That's interesting here with this Eight of Pentacles. So this is something to consider, especially if you are at this level. Maybe you're working on your career, your business, your art project, whatever it is. where you're not done yet, you know, but you're like kind of deep into it, let the momentum carry you. Okay, so choose the path of grace, knowing that, you know, is it going to be perfect? Is it going to, you know what I mean? That's something a lot of, I would say, artistic people tend maybe to struggle with or have to get over, right? I think that's kind of why, one of the things why writers worry about writer's block, you know. Anyway. So, ease is not weakness, it is embodied wisdom. Yeah. Usually grandma is sitting there in church, listening, maybe tilting her head gently, you know, when she hears something. You know what I mean? Because grandma has seen some things already. Grandma's not going to be the same as some little toddler, you know, that's going to be like maybe looking around the church and, right? Okay. So, carrying the weight of striving, okay? So, as you are in this Eight of Pentacles, no, it's like you've come this far. Like, don't start doubting yourself now. This should be the part where you're starting to coast in. All right? You know, it's like, no, we're not climbing another mountain. We're not doing that. We're on the back side of this one. We are already had to construct ourselves by hand, right? When they say God can move mountains, well, sure, you know, he has you build them on the way, right? Sometimes that's what it feels like. Like, I've been working on this mountain for a while now. Okay. But, you know, you're the sun card. You can pull it off. He's like, look, I'm showing you. I'm providing you the light. And possibly, for some of you, the time as well. You know, sometimes we fill ourselves up with excuses instead of actions, right? I am worthy to receive the grace I once delayed, the abundance I once denied. Now I open with reverence and allow the heavens to pour their light through me. All right. And literally, pouring the light through me. You know, giving us the daylight to guide. Okay? I am worthy to receive the grace once delayed. Okay? So, you know, maybe thinking you're never going to finish something. Maybe thinking you aren't going to get the time. Thinking, no, I can't make that a priority right now. But when we really start to question it, it's like, well, if you're not necessarily in a pack of wolves, maybe you're the lone wolf right now. So it's like, what else are you really working on? You know, maybe the pack grew up and moved out. You know what I mean? You got empty pack syndrome? I don't know. You know. Go adopt a rascal like I have, you know. It'll keep you entertained, trust me. Give you something to spend your money on. My God, I just had to order their medicine. And it's like, yeah, I guess I will take every little discount that I can once, you know, you add it all up. I came here to create new worlds. The light of the divine dances through me. I am here to build what has never been seen. So, in this dream state, perhaps somebody, an ancestor, maybe, right, with the dragonfly, okay? This could be signaling a message to you somehow, okay? And maybe that's part of what they're telling you is that you came here to create something new. I'm here to build what has never been seen, right? Some people, you know, might not want to take you seriously because you're not doing this the traditional way, or you're blah, 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 or they think you're skipping over such and such, or you're not old enough yet to understand, but you know what I mean? Like, give it a rest already. So, you know, right? What they say? Stop bogarting that joint or something. You know, you're like, I'm just trying to chill here. And I feel like that's something that you can look forward to, and also rest in the fact that you know how hard you've worked. My gosh, have you ever really taken a break? You know what I mean? The people that are checking their emails on vacation, all this stuff. I remember I worked in a corporate world, and I don't know, I'd been there probably 12 years or so. And one of the newer supervisors came in, and they went on some real, I know it was expensive. And, you know, and he had kids and stuff, so I just can't even imagine how much it cost. He said he was checking his email like every day. And it's like, oh my God. How much money they paid on that vacation, and he's, you know. It's like you gotta understand where to draw the line and allow things to actually come in, because if you're just chasing, it's like, when was his mind actually resting? It wasn't. You know, he may have thought he was at rest, but he wasn't away from the routine enough. You know, that's back when it was optional for us to have that on our phones. And then all of a sudden we had to have all sorts of, we had to have our email on there. We had to have the Zoom app so we could, you know, and Teams, we had to have everything, you know. And then it's like, well, wait a second, I'm paying for this. You know what I mean? After a while, I was like, I had to take my email off of my phone. My work email. I didn't like it. And it's like, it made you log into some weird thing every time, and it's like, oh my God. You know, and it's like, whose phone is this supposed to be? Mine or theirs? Because I'm paying the damn bill every month. You know what I mean? And we had people that were on their laptops in their goddamn vehicles while they were driving. But, you know, oh, surprise, people have real lives and have to, you know, drop their kid off at a certain time or whatever. You know what I mean? But, you know, is it worth that? You know, I mean, over a 7:30 a.m. meeting, I mean, like, really? That, you know, somebody's treating like it's the most important thing in the world. Well, I got a message for you. You know what I mean? Is that why the self-driving car was invented? I mean, because of meetings? You know. Haven't you seen those Waymos? Those stories about the Waymos? Like, they're going all sorts of crazy. And it's like, some automation might be cool, but it's like, some of it is not so great. You know? And it's like the GPS thing. Or before that, you know, printing out MapQuest, right? And it's like, well, it says to turn here, yeah, but it's no road. You know, I mean, it's like, at a certain point, you got to have that common sense, right? And common sense tells you, if it's pretty heavy and it's shiny, right, it might not be the kind of egg that you crack open into a damn skillet. Like, come on now. So, you know, what are you going to do with that when you come to that realization that you are looking into the mirror with this twin-like energy of Gemini? All right, next card. I choose to be the reason someone feels seen, loved, and appreciated today. My presence is a gift. My kindness is a blessing. Yeah, so being in that loving kind of energy, right? Okay. Okay. Alrighty. On the bottom it says, I offer grace where there was pain. I release resentment, not to excuse the past, but to set myself free. Forgiveness is the bridge that leads me home to peace. Yes. So again, back to the familiar, but into a familiar that you want to be in, right? You know, like, oh, those were the days. Yeah, that kind of thing. So, and like they say, forgiveness is for you. It's not necessarily for the other person. You know, it's so that you can stop trying to execute this judgment over the situation, right? And say, you know what? You know, I may or may not have been at fault, right? But regardless, I've learned some things. And from here on out, I'm going to try and do better. Okay? So that helps, you know, releasing your feeling of responsibility, you know, sometimes whether it was yours or not. You know what I mean? Sometimes it really wasn't your responsibility. Okay? So if you hold on to that resentment, it's just going to eat at you. It doesn't do anything for you. You know, for some people, they think, oh, I'm going to get, you know, revenge or blah, blah, blah. That's, you know, and they confuse that with justice. Okay? The only, you know, it's the higher power that grants the justice. Okay? That big sun energy. All right? So, yeah, not to excuse the past, but to set myself free. So it's saying, you know, was everything perfect? No, but there were some good things, right? And I can take those good things and try and recreate those good things now. Or creating and building what has yet to be seen, as this card showed. Right? So you get to rest and get healed. Okay? So I think this could be a message for somebody of healing, where, you know, maybe there was, again, this something that you took on, right? And maybe that's what drove you into this Eight of Pentacles, which that's fine, right? But again, realize you do get to take your foot off the gas at a certain point. You do not have to be pedal to the metal all the time, especially if you're already there. Do you know what I'm saying? So, and it's not, excuse me, it's not about giving up. It's about surrendering to the flow of what life has to offer you, okay? And that's in turn when you're going to get into this lover's energy, right? Where it becomes something more to look forward to, right? I actually want to return to working on such and such, right? Because I've allowed myself the freedom to wander. Okay? All right. We are coming up just on 30 minutes, so I will let that be for the time being. Please do like the video, especially if you were in the chat today. Remember, you do not have to be a subscriber in order to like the video, but you certainly can do both if you wish, right? Anyway, I don't like to push that on anybody's algorithm, because I've found that even if you like a video, it's gonna find you again, or you're gonna be able to find it, I believe, in your, you know, YouTube settings. You know what I mean? On the back end that you can see. So, anyway, until next time, please do manifest wisely. Bye-bye.